Money has been the root of cash-in-transit heists in South Africa, with close to 200 heists this year alone. The battle of combating the scourge of cash-in-transit heists has leveled up, with new technologies being introduced to stop criminals on their tracks. CNBC Africa's Aviwe Mtila has more.
The sound of the scourge of cash in transit. There's been over 180 heists in the first 7 months of this year, injuring at least 62 guards and killing 7. Government, police and security companies are discussing how to tackle this.
We actually intend to send a message to criminals that we are ready, and we will make sure that we don't only protect the money that is in those vans, but we also protect the lives, innocent lives of our people on the ground.
This is Sizakele Malobane, the Gauteng MEC of Community Safety. This panel was hosted by one of the leading providers of equipment to the CIT and banking industry, All Cash Technologies in Midrand.
But we also want to send a message to criminals that we are aware of your arrogance, but we will deal with your arrogance decisively. There are many ways to deal with it. We can actually respond either by protecting the money, as we are going to do today, by demonstrating the technology that is going to be used to protect our vans, but also we can return fire with fire.
Also here was retired Police General and independent analyst, Dr. Chris de Kock. He questions where the weapons come from.
First thing I want to mention is that according to an analysis which was done 2 years ago by the police, there's about 11% of CITs, that's now including cross-pavement robberies. They've done a docket analysis that 11% of those CITs involve high-caliber firearms. I mean, firearms which should not be in the hands of the public at all. We're talking of R4s, R5s, AKs, and whatever.
It's not only from the police that these arms are coming from, or from most of them, honestly speaking, are actually coming from other countries. These are the kind of weapons that are not legal or used in South Africa that get used in the process of committing that particular crime.
Another concern is how heists put lives at risk.
Many of them happen in the rural areas, on roads which are not very busy. But some of them happen here on our highways, on our freeways, here in Gauteng, like in Boksburg, like Marlborough, like those places. And the problem is, it also occur in the daytime. It never occurs, very few. Actually, only about 20% occur at night. So your traffic is very heavy. I mean, we had cases where it happened basically in peak hour traffic, because peak hour this time is even up to 10 o'clock in Gauteng, in some areas. And it happened there, and what must we tell the public using those roads? What do you do if you're on a highway and suddenly there is a CIT? You come over the edge, and here you see a CIT in front of you.
We've said previously to members of the public to prioritize their own safety when they approach or witness a crime scene, especially of a CIT robbery. Yes, sometimes the information helps that they send to us in form of video clips sent to us on social media. Although sometimes those clips are not even sent to us, we pick them up at a much later stage. Whereas the first thing they could have done was to phone the 10111 or to alert the police in order for us to be able to respond quickly. But earlier on, you asked whether they should make a U-turn. I don't think that is wise, because we had, I think 2 months ago, a member of the public that was shot because they made a U-turn. We don't know what the motive was, but try and exercise as much caution as possible. If the situation allows you to make a U-turn, well, then make a U-turn, but use your discretion to prioritize your own safety.
These are among the new ways to fight back. This is foam that envelopes the money, which then hardens into a solid block within 2 minutes. The second solution releases smoke and stains the banknotes, rendering them useless.
But we've been approached to put cameras on the vehicles and on the outside of the vehicles and on the inside of the vehicles and do a geolocate and record the number plates and try, from a technology and point of view, try eradicate as much as this is possible. The challenge is that this is such a sophisticated level of crime that, you know, everyone in our industry is kind of looking at it and saying this is really difficult to combat. This is quite tough, yeah.
Roy Alves is the sales director of Swedish security company Access Communication. It's been manufacturing security cameras in South Africa for the last 2 decades.
Primarily our business is really around security. So we've been approached by many of the stakeholders. And it started, if you look at it, started 3 or 4 years ago with a spate of jewelry store robberies. And then it was the cell phone stores that were being hit in the shopping centres. And of recent, it's the cash in transit, as you're referring to it now. But what we're seeing is that this is an organised crime. This is not a random hit on a vehicle carrying cash. This is syndicated crime. That's, you know, has intelligence. They either listening to radio frequencies or listening on telephone conversations or having information on the routes of these vehicles.
Alves says it is difficult.
We have cameras that you can put on the vehicles, and we do this quite often, that go and do a number plate read. So if it goes and does an OCR read on the plate, it looks up on a database, it says this plate is hot or it's stolen or it's been flagged on the police database as a vehicle that's, you know, that's questionable. The challenge that we're having, this technology is available, the challenge that we're having is that in many instances, these robberies that are about to happen, they're taking plates off good known cars and putting them onto the vehicles that they're using to go out and chase these cash heists.
Back in Midrand, the stats around these cash in transit heists are shocking.
In 2017, 136 billion rands went through the veins of the financial system. And out of 10 heists, 465 million was stolen. Only 33 million of that 465 was recovered.
This is Interpol's Turn Back Crime Campaign Ambassador, Andy Mashaile, who says another source of this crime lies deep in the dark web.
The dark web and the deep web, which is 90% of the usage of the internet. Me and you and your viewers only use about 10% of the internet. That's where a lot of crime is being committed. That's where you are able to access the hitman industry. If you have the time, Google Deep Web, you will see what we talk about. That's where your masterminds in heist meet and they communicate freely on that space of the deep web and dark web.
Both government and the police say they are putting measures to combat the scourge of cash in transit.
We have now instructed our PC and National to also capacitate the station to be able to respond if the crime is being committed. Because what has been happening is that those guys have been helpless. They were not able to deal with that crime. The other issue that we have done is, I've already indicated, we have actually established a special task team that has also that focuses on violent crime which drive fear in our communities. It is not only cash in transit. They are also dealing with murder and also other serious robberies, particularly on cash business.
The mining industry is also on the police radar.
I think it is important for me to indicate that before we even investigated some of the mining companies, some of them approached us and indicated that we suspect that our explosives are the ones that are being used for cash in transit, but not only cash in transit, they are also used for illegal mining by Zamazama. So there is an investigation there, and I hope that very soon we'll actually be cracking that particular case.
The crime expert warns of unforeseen consequences.
My experience when I was in the police before 2013, when I left, was that when we started to manage this figures down from 394 down to 182, where I left, 145 where I left, when that was managed down by the now minister and by the late Commissioner Salebe, When that happened, it immediately jumped from CITs to ATM bombings. So we must be very careful. And I'm very glad to hear about this phone, because I forgot, because many years ago they already spoke about phone. Now it seems it's there, and that will be a good development. But the moment you do something, in sociology we say you have unforeseen consequences.
Police, government, security companies, and the South African community as a whole have had enough of cash in transit heists. For now, weapons against it are vigilance, smoke, and foam. Aviwe Mtila for CNBC Africa, Johannesburg.